The news doesn't end here. Coming up at 7, streaming on WCNC+. Charlotte City Council taking action after the deadly light rail stabbing.
We should feel safe on public transportation. We shouldn't have to worry about being stabbed to death.
What expanding transit security will look like, and the community's candlelight tribute to Irina Zarutska.
Tonight, Waxhaw Town Commissioners are voting on a controversial new housing project. Coming up, what's at stake for the community and why neighbors say it's too much growth happening too fast.
1 year after Helene, we are back in downtown Boone taking a look at the devastation, but the recovery as well.
And when dangerous storms hit, we're lucky the National Weather Service is there.
We will meet the folks keeping you safe each and every day. Those stories and much more live, local, and breaking news coming up at 7 a.m. on WCNC+. We'll see you there in just a few minutes.
Hi, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. Still in Boone.
Two, three, four, five. Test, test, test. 3, 2, 1.
Streaming live right now at 7 a.m. right here on WCNC+. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Autumn Bracey.
Let's go ahead and turn it over to Lisa Washington. She's live in Boone this week as we mark the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Helene. Lisa.
Ben and Autumn, good morning. We're going to be here all week bringing you stories from Western North Carolina of the progress that's been made 1 year since Hurricane Helene hit, as well as the challenges that remain. The sun is starting to come up now here in Boone, which is promising to be another beautiful day, the first full day of fall. It's a crisp morning here, but for many of the folks, another day here in this fall season means another day of rebuilding, another day of trying to get their lives back to normalcy. And we're going to be sharing some of of their stories with you this morning. First, though, we need to get a check on your forecast for this Tuesday, first full day of fall. We're going to check back in with meteorologist Chris Mulcahy in a moment to get more on our forecast. But right now, we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Lisa, thank you for that. Let's go to live pictures right now over the roads here in Charlotte. You can see the skyline off to the left right there. Live pictures of I-77. We're going to have a check of your Tuesday morning commute coming up in just a matter of moments. But first, a check of that weather impact forecast.
It's going to be a good one. Who's ready for another hot day? Now, if you want the fall-like weather, it's coming eventually, just not for September 23rd. Sunrise time at 7:13, so just 11 minutes away. A gorgeous beginning to the day. Picking up a few more clouds by the afternoon, kind of like what we had yesterday. Mixed cloud and sunshine. Those cotton ball-like fair weather cumulus clouds will be out and about. And our current temperatures, 64 degrees. That is our current low for the morning. 56 for you around Boone, and Lisa's there as well. 58 degrees in Statesville, and then we have 58 over here in Wadesboro. It's cool, slightly above normal for a few locations, but not too off the mark for where we should be. The highs are fully off the mark for our first full day of fall because our temperatures reaching the upper 80s. We should be hovering around 81 for a typical September 23rd. Not the case in scenario. Instead, we have 89 degrees today for Charlotte, 87 for you in Salisbury. Some of us to the south, such as Lancaster, you are going to hit 90 degrees and then a good shot of hitting 90 again for tomorrow. But then after that, we up our rain chances heading into your Thursday and Friday. So here's what it looks like. I think our best chance for rain as of right now is Thursday night heading into Friday, but then Saturdays also we're seeing a big uptick in the rain potential as well. So here's our futurecast. We can see as far out as late on Thursday. You can see right here around 4 p.m. I think we're seeing an isolated shower or two. Most likely we're staying dry here around the Charlotte area, but then watch. On Thursday, here comes the rain for the mountains. I think you see a little bit of morning rain, widespread showers and thunderstorms possible. It's even a chance for strong thunderstorms over in Tennessee. We're just missing that. But it's not really until late evening on Thursday that we have those showers even pushing close to Charlotte. So I think the sun is already going to be set by the time that we see widespread rain, and that's going to continue on and off. So I think you have big pulses of rain, could have several hours of rain at one given point heading into your Friday morning. So as of right now, your Friday morning commute does not look to be great. This is all brought to us by this blue spiking line, this cold front. As that is driving into this hot and humid weather, this is giving us our best chance for a widespread shower and storm chance that we've had in weeks. But what's really interesting here is that we have another upper level low that glides along it. This front stalls just along the Carolina shoreline, and notice its rotation. It's blasting in more moisture from the Atlantic, feeding in a chance for more showers heading into your Saturday. But that's not just it. We also have a pair of systems, likely one of them is going to be named Hurricane Umberto by this weekend, and then this L potentially could turn into another named system. So we have a lot of big question marks. I'm going to actually put a weather bookmark right here. We're going to resume at this point, showing you the case and scenarios and a look at the tropics coming up here shortly. But first, as we promised, our first look of your morning commute here on WCNC Plus.
Good morning. It's beautiful outside for your Tuesday morning commute. Look at this, clear blue skies and sunshine. Feeling nice outside as well, mainly into the 60s. This is I-77 right here. You can see cars are out there. People are awake, starting their day already. It's been a relatively quiet morning for the most part, but we do still have a few things you're going to want to know about as you're heading out the door. Drive times right now, almost 50 minutes as you are heading in from Salisbury, and you can see all the green right there. It's actually widespread and heavy rain. It's outside of our viewing area. We don't suspect that really any rain starts to move in across the Queen City today. Should stay nice and dry for that commute. Off to the east of Uptown, we are following this. It's a crash on McLean Road at Old Concord Road. That orange area is indicating slow-moving traffic. You can see a picture of it. Injury incident in the intersection. It is causing delays in all directions. Otherwise, those typical delays are building along I-77 and I-85. When I see you right back here, we'll talk about what's going on in Gaston County.
All right, see you soon. Thanks, Majestic. Well, this week we continue to share stories of recovery nearly 1 year after Hurricane Helene.
Lisa, once again live this morning in Boone. And Lisa, you've been there now a couple of days and you've seen the recovery as it happens.
Certainly, you're seeing it firsthand. And here's the thing, Ben, for all the progress that has been made 1 year since this storm hit, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done. Just drive through any community and it's very clear to see. I mean, there are still piles of mud and debris in some spaces, and then in other spaces you can see what looks like new business, or new buildings, new homes, but there's actually people who have rebuilt since that storm. And again, there is still so much work that is in progress after Hurricane Helene tore through Boone, leaving behind landslides, flooding, and a lot of heartbreak. This morning, WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live here in Boone, giving us a look at how the mountain town is rebuilding.
Good morning to you, Lisa. Good Tuesday morning, Ben and Autumn, and all those of you watching us on the Plus. Basically, Boone is one of those areas that were heavy hit. We saw that water rolling right down King Street, turning this street into what looked like a river, basically destroying a number of businesses, gutting parts of others, folks taking months to recover. But we can tell you 1 year later that many of them here have started that process. 1 year after Helene devastated Boone, this town stands resilient. Yet it's been changed forever. The floods and landslides that came after Helene destroyed homes, roads, and also key parts of App State University's campus. It displaced students, families. It also closed local businesses, some for good, during what normally was the busiest tourism season of the year. Today, many of Boone's shops and restaurants have reopened thanks to a unified community effort. However, while downtown businesses welcome visitors again, some neighborhoods in the outlying areas still face damaged homes as well as roads. The emotional toll is evident here in Watauga County, and local leaders stress that the fall tourism season is important for this economy, and much of Boone's recovery will depend on continued support. Some business owners we spoke to say the scars of Helene linger, but Boone's story a year later is one of perseverance, community spirit, as well as a cautious optimism for the future.
Didn't even want to ride because anytime they were riding, they were seeing devastation everywhere. And so that was rough. We weren't doing rentals. We weren't really fixing bikes. We weren't really selling bikes. But we opened the trails really quick. We're doing our best to get rentals out and get people back on the trail and enjoying their hobbies.
One of the most unique stories was when I heard about the nurses going in on horseback or even using mules to get to people that didn't have help at the time. And so I thought that was a testament to who we are. We are resourceful folks that love on each other.
Absolutely correct. And we can tell you, as much as they love on each other, they'll come together again this Saturday. There is a celebration of sorts right here in Boone for folks to come and celebrate what will be a much brighter future. We're right here in downtown Boone. This is Richard Devane. Lisa, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Richard, thanks so much. And there is indeed a strong sense of community here. As you said, this area, the people here really gathered together after this storm to support one another. We're going to have much more coming out through the morning here on WCNC Plus. But for now, we'll toss it back to you, Ben and Autumn, in the studio in Charlotte.
All right, Lisa, thanks. Coming up, Jimmy Kimmel returns details on when the late night host will be back on TV. streaming live right now on WCNC Plus at 7:12. And trending, Jimmy Kimmel is going to be back on the air tonight. ABC confirmed the programming change yesterday, less than a week after the late night host was suspended. Kimmel faced backlash over his comments about the man accused of killing conservative youth activist Charlie Kirk. The network pulled the show after the FCC chair threatened to revoke ABC affiliates' licenses. President Trump celebrated the suspension. He hasn't responded yet to the decision to bring the show back. Local news owners like Sinclair said yesterday it won't air Kimmel's show tonight. Company Nexcar hasn't said how it will move forward. In a statement, ABC said, "We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday." Right now, people reacting to the latest news from the White House. President Trump making a controversial announcement telling expectant mothers not to take Tylenol, claiming it can increase the risk of autism in children. But the maker of Tylenol, medical experts and researchers say the medication is safe. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
For this reason, they are...
In a White House briefing flanked by his top health officials, President Trump forcefully opposing a widely used medication during pregnancy.
If you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol.
Announcing the FDA will start telling doctors that acetaminophen, the active ingredient in Tylenol, can increase the risk of autism, though decades of research have determined it's safe.
Study after study has actually shown that there's no causal link with Tylenol and pregnancy and autism.
The FDA commissioner referencing an analysis from New York's Mount Sinai of more than 45 studies, with some finding acetaminophen during pregnancy may be linked to a higher risk of autism, but urging further study. Many other large-scale studies, including one published last year in the Journal of the American Medical Association that included sibling comparisons, found no link.
Gold standard research, 25 years, 2.5 million kids, no association.
And while President Trump argued there was no downside to avoiding Tylenol in pregnancy aside from pain,
You feel you can't tough it out?
the company that makes Tylenol, which refutes any link to autism, noted that avoiding the drug could mean pregnant women, quote, suffer through conditions like fever that are potentially harmful to both mom and baby, or use riskier alternatives. Some parents of children with autism voicing frustration.
I never used acetaminophen during my pregnancy with my son. It was actually a very painless pregnancy. He was never given it in his childhood or his infancy.
While acknowledging the desire for answers, as expectant parents are left with more questions. The Trump administration also announcing a new $50 million effort to turbocharge autism research, while the FDA is set to approve the prescription drug leucovorin as a treatment for autism symptoms, though medical experts say there's little evidence it works. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Of course, it's leaving a lot of folks confused, and understandably so. So coming up at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus, what autism experts here in North Carolina think about the Trump administration's announcement.
Looking ahead, Vice President J.D. Vance will be making a visit to Concord on Wednesday. It's his first official trip to North Carolina since taking office. The White House says he will be promoting the Trump administration's policies for working Americans. He's also expected to discuss public safety, supporting law enforcement, and President Trump's tax cuts. Now, we are going to have a live coverage of that event right here on WCNC Charlotte and on WCNC Plus.
Up next, Majestic has a check of your Tuesday morning commute.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. So let me see. Let's remove this weather bookmark. The last time that I was talking to you, talking about this front and how it's going to control our forecast. But so many times, especially this time of year, you can have a front that moves through and then it just stops and stalls because something's out in the Atlantic. This is technically called atmospheric blocking. At this point, it's just going to be a really slow traffic. If we did not have any systems to our east, what would happen is this front would pass and then we have a beautiful fall-like weekend. But no, says Mother Nature. 'Cause check this out. We have a low that digs in further down to the southwest. So that's actually going to keep continued rain chances for your Friday night heading into Saturday. There's a lot of moisture that's going to be interacting with this, still tropical feeling air. And then eventually we're going to have the two pieces on the board that are really going to control our forecast. Now, for one, we're going to have a stationary front that's going to stall out right here along the shoreline. Notice the time. This brings us to about Sunday at noon. So at this point, one of two scenarios are going to happen. Either this front is going to keep everything offshore, and then we're going to clear out, allowing for a better forecast here in Charlotte. But one that's looking more and more likely is that this low pressure system will start to churn up into the Carolinas Monday, Tuesday, heading into Wednesday. Meanwhile, this is looking more and more like the next 3 days or so that this will be Hurricane Umberto. I think it's rapidly going to intensify, and then it should start to turn back out to the north and east. But it's all about whatever this secondary system is going to do, and here's what it looks like. We'll have an update from the National Hurricane Center on Major Hurricane Gabrielle, and as well as what the percentages are upgraded to at 8 o'clock for both of these waves. Wave number one, this is the one that you just saw on your screen. This is likely going to be Umberto. If there is another tropical development, this is pretty disorganized, but still a lot of energy with this one. This is the better chance that I would say by the back end of the forecast, maybe by the end of the weekend, this could be a named storm as well. It's fighting a lot of wind shear though. Here's what it looks like on Futurecast. So we get past that rain and everything that's lingering around for the weekend. We're looking for a close low here on this sea level pressure. So this shows a potential, and this doesn't mean a hurricane or a tropical storm or anything, just shows that defined low that we're looking at right off the Carolina shoreline Sunday night heading into Monday. Now this is just model data, but then there is potential Umberto. So number one, the biggest storm is going to be Umberto, and that's going to turn out to sea, and then it is going to be the island of Bermuda that's under the gun there. But this is something that we really have to watch closely. Now likely whenever you have a bigger storm like this, it's going to affect the secondary one, but one that could change our forecast in a flash by the end of the weekend. So of course we'll continue to keep you updated here on WCNC and WCNC+. But right now, hopefully there's no big effects. Not talking about big storms for a morning commute, so that's always good. Majestic, what's going on?
Let's get to it. Well, we do have some slowdowns out there. Of course, it's 7:21 right now, but we also have a whole lot of sunshine. It's a beautiful start to our new day. You can see this is I-77 coming in from York County, and then again, not too bad, a little closer to Uptown there. 64 degrees as you're heading out the door. Drive times are pretty typical, nothing too out of control, but again, it's going to take you just about 50 minutes if you're coming in from Salisbury. We do have pretty quiet conditions across the Carolinas. That rain still off to the northwest, and for us here specifically, we have our typical delays, but also a handful of ongoing wrecks still. I'm continuing to follow this one as it is not cleared yet. There's a crash here on McLean Road at Old Concord Road, and again, here's a picture of it. Unfortunately, it's an injury incident. It's in the intersection, and it is causing delays in all directions. We are seeing those slowdowns along I-77. Nothing that we're not used to at this time of the day, but I do want to take you out to Gaston County. Still following this right here. A lane is blocked because of a crash. It's on I-85 northbound before exit 17 to get onto 321. We'll have another look at traffic coming up here shortly. Larry.
At the Story Sprinkle, time for our Tuesday Tailwager, along with their friends over at Animal Care and Control. Last week we featured Kalili, and Kalili, that sweet dog, is still there. Well, hopefully she'll find a forever home, maybe today or sometime this week. Let's bring on today's Tailwager. Her name is Laika. Laika is about 1 year old, weighs somewhere from about 50 to 55 pounds. Just a sweet dog, but probably better if she's the only dog in the household. Shy at first, but she loves to stop and smell the flowers. Just a great dog. Knows a few commands, really good on a leash, and she would be great for your home if she's the only dog there. You can do this. You can log on to animalcareclt.org. Animalcareclt.org. They're open Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Those are the hours. Once again, our tail wagger's Leica. Leica, if you like her, she weighs about 50 pounds. She's about a year old, and Leica is our very special Tuesday tail wagger.
All right, Larry, thanks. Who doesn't love to stop and smell the flowers? Well, check this out. NASA officially selected its latest class of new astronauts. It's made up of 10 men and women who were officially introduced during a ceremony yesterday at the Johnson Space Center. Now, take a look. This group was chosen from a pool of 8,000 applicants. Wow, that's impressive. And they're going to be training for 2 years for future missions to the moon, and eventually they'll be headed to Mars. The astronauts currently live and work aboard the International Space Station, and they sent them a welcome message to this new class.
You're joining NASA at an exciting time. We're in a new era of space exploration, going to the moon and on to Mars. We can't wait to see where your journey takes you.
The people sitting beside you right now will become more than colleagues. They'll become lifelong friends.
All right, kudos to that new group. The astronaut candidates training will include simulated spacewalks and flying high-performance jets. That's pretty neat. Also in this new class, there are no astronauts who grew up in the Carolinas, but we can claim one of them. Anna Menon got her master's in biomedical engineering from Duke University. In 2024, Menon flew to space as a mission specialist and medical officer aboard SpaceX's Polaris Dawn.
We'll claim her then. We'll claim her. Live pictures right now over uptown as we head to break. Keep it right here on WCNC Plus. More weather, news, and traffic coming your way.
Well, good morning, everybody. Current temperatures, we are sitting pretty right now. We have 64 degrees right around Charlotte. It is cool for you in Lincoln today, 57 degrees, 59 in Statesville, and 56 the starting point in Watauga County. Our first full day of fall. Officially, we started the autumnal equinox at 2:19 yesterday. So this is completely from midnight to midnight going to be a first seasonal day. And it's going to be unseasonably warm, though. We're talking about the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees, the slight heat index. Mix of cloud and sunshine, no rain to mention, at least for Charlotte. And then through the next few nights, we are anticipating those lows to be on the milder side, really either side of 70 degrees, a little bit tamer heading into your Saturday. So that Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast, right around 90 degrees over the next couple of days. A little bit cooler on Thursday as the rain starts to move in. Good rain chances Friday heading into the weekend. Majestic?
All right, let's get a look at those area roadways for your Tuesday morning commute. Drive times are pretty much spot on, about 30 minutes if you're coming in from Matthews. You can see a big picture perspective, pretty quiet right now across the Carolinas. Active weather stays to the north and west of us. Still seeing those typical delays along I-77 and I-85 here. Following this ongoing crash, a crash at McLean Road and Old Concord Road. It's an injury incident in the intersection causing delays.
Well, good morning and thanks for joining us on WCNC Plus at 7:30. I'm Autumn Bracey.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Our special coverage of the Hurricane Helene one-year anniversary continues all morning long and all week long. And now we're learning about more money and more resources coming to help those folks rebuild.
That's right. Our Lisa Washington joining us again from Western North Carolina, where more relief money is on its way. Lisa.
Good morning to you, Autumn and Ben. And yes, it's so important that those funds get here to help the folks in Western North Carolina who are trying to rebuild after Hurricane Helene. This morning, we know that more than $50 million is heading to Western North Carolina. North Carolina's Governor Josh Stein is launching a new $50 million grant program to help with the recovery efforts. Now, this is open to local governments and tribal communities in the area that FEMA has declared disaster zones. That money will cover repairing, renovating, or replacing damaged infrastructure. The deadline to apply is November 21st. Now, in Buncombe County, the devastation from Helene was widespread throughout the county, putting the Parks and Recreation's master plan on hold. All of the parks in Buncombe County sustained some level of damage from the storm. Lake Julian Park lost 200 of its trees. 3 of the large decks and one of the smaller boat entry decks were also damaged. And now, 1 year later, some fields and parks still remain closed.
We're working really hard to get parks open one by one as they become safe. We're trying to get the small wins while keeping the larger parks that are more devastated, like Owen, at the forefront.
It's really heartbreaking, but it's also kind of encouraging, like, to see a lot of the construction workers out and the resilience of the community.
Resilience is a great word to describe the community efforts here, and of course a reminder that we are going to be here all week long reporting live in Western North Carolina. Our coverage is going to culminate with a 1-hour special where we're going to share more of the stories of the survivors and show you the progress that's been made, as well as those challenges that remain here following the storm 1 year ago. You can watch our special Hurricane Helene 1 year later, right here streaming on WCNC Plus as well as on WCNC Charlotte. And again, more of those stories to come for you here this morning. For now, we'll send it back to you. I believe I'm going to be tossing it over to meteorologist Chris Mulcahy. Chris, I figured out it's not that it's just 1 degree cooler. There was more of a wind. The winds were stronger this morning, and that's what made the difference.
Yeah, we are getting to that range. Whenever you're close to about 50 degrees and certainly below, wind chill is activated, so that would make sense, my friend. Thank you very much for the weather report. And we have some rain really close to you as well, Lisa. As of right now, it does look like it's going to dissipate as it's riding up to the mountaintop, so good news there, likely staying over in Tennessee. But a sprinkle is not out of the question. Now, likely a little bit later on, early afternoon, we're going to see a band of showers potentially pop up. You see it right here about 2 to 4 o'clock. I think everything is pretty much staying north of Lincoln. Those showers likely not surviving the pass over to the Charlotte area. Heading into tomorrow, could have some patchy dense fog from place to place. I think we're dealing with more clouds for your Wednesday as well, but still going to be another hot one. Monroe right now at 60 degrees, 64 degrees for the Charlotte area, and then Boone 56, looking pretty. Already seeing those leaves starting to change a little bit. And now on later forecasts, already mentioned the temperature about 64 degrees around Charlotte. Well, where are we going from here? Not too much of a change really over the next 27 minutes or so, starting off the 8 o'clock hour, about 1 degree warm up. But then at that point, you really start to ramp things up, warming up 5 degrees each hour to about 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, and then back to about the mid 80s by 1 p.m. So that's significant. That's why we have a good shot at getting to around 90 degrees today, 89, where on Saturday and it was also last Friday, we were at 91 and 92. This looks like to be one of the last shots that are going to be right around that 90-degree point before temperatures really start to trend down. Because check it out. We are anticipating the lower 80s on Friday because of cloud cover and rain, upper 70s on Saturday, and it could be even cooler with a better chance for more widespread clouds and rain heading into the beginning of October. And believe it or not, we're actually seeing the end of our 10-day forecast into October. Meanwhile, our lows are also going to be very mild as well, either side of 70 degrees Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. For those lows will eventually return back into the 50s. As far as our rain chances go, general 20%, but I would not be surprised if these really start to ramp up. It just depends on what a couple of systems to our east are going to do, but for sure, because of a cold front, Thursday night especially, heading into Friday to Saturday, this looks to be the wettest period over the next 7 days. I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like hour by hour in our Futurecast, and also look at the tropics, how they all interplay with one another in my full forecast. But let's get right over to Majestic in the meantime, who has some developing situations.
Good morning. A handful of accidents, a couple of new ones that I want to highlight for you. I want to take you straight to this. This is out in York County where one lane is currently blocked because of a crash. It's on I-77 northbound, so if you're heading inbound, it's at exit 88 Gold Hill Road. You can see those impacts. The more colors we have, the more likely you're going to be driving quite slowly. So allow for some extra drive time there. One lane blocked again. And then out in Gaston County, we've been following some delays on I-85, especially those inbound roads. Again, that's typical for this time of the day, but this one that we've been talking about for the last hour has since been cleared, so no longer a problem there. As we're heading over to the east now, I want to let you know this is not on Independence, but rather Albemarle Road at Pearson Drive, where we do have some slowdowns here. That red is indicating just stop and go traffic as more people are heading inbound. So those are the main accidents that are currently ongoing right now. Again, I-85, we're seeing those delays. 485 out towards Mount Holly. That one accident on I-77 out towards Gold Hill exit that's coming in from York County to Mecklenburg County. And then again, seeing those delays right around Matthews, 485 there. No accidents there, just more people all heading in the same direction. We'll have another check on those area roadways all coming up here shortly, but those are the biggest things that I'm watching right now. Autumn.
All right, thank you, Majestic. Well, you'll soon see more security on the light rail. Charlotte City Council voted to expand security across Cats 1 month after the deadly light rail stabbing of Irina Zarutska. This vote coming just as dozens from around the community gathered to remember her. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard shares how many hope Irina's memory is going to be a spark for some lasting change.
So all in favor, please raise your hands.
Charlotte City leaders are taking another step to tighten security across the transit system, approving CAT's plan to expand the authority of professional police services. The private company already providing security for cats can now have the power to enforce laws beyond just buses, trains, and stations. That jurisdiction will now stretch to areas around the city's busiest transit centers along East Trade Street and the popular rail trail.
We should feel safe on public transportation. We shouldn't have to worry about being stabbed to death, being killed.
Amazing grace, how sweet that sound.
While city leaders work to enhance safety inside chambers, outside, candles, prayers, and a community united in grief.
A young lady lost her life that shouldn't have lost her life.
Dozens stood shoulder to shoulder in silence, holding candles against the night air.
Who knows what she could have become?
She could have been my daughter. She could have been your daughter. She could have been my sister. You know, it could have happened to either one of us.
But now I am found.
As they honored Zaruska, they say the real measure of change will be whether riders feel safe again.
And if we can't protect a young girl like that, we can't protect anybody.
I'm going to feel confident when they put enough people on there to protect the people in each car, and from what I'm hearing, they're not.
Tradisha Woodard reporting for us there. Time now, 7:38. A North Carolina bill named Arenas Law now heading to the State House. The Senate approved it Monday. It would add tougher consequences for crime and create stronger deterrents in hopes of preventing tragedies like Arenas from happening. The bill would eliminate certain cashless bail policies, enact tougher bail guidelines for some crimes, and give more oversight for magistrates. It also removes judicial roadblocks to the death penalty. Police have released more information about the man who boarded a CATS train carrying a gun. According to reports, 28-year-old Thomas Paul told police he was a security worker on call. Paul initially said he was carrying a weapon because of his job, but then later said it was for personal protection. CATS releasing a statement to WCNC Charlotte saying, in part, per the CATS Rider Code of Conduct, weapons are not allowed. In this case, our enhanced security measures were able to apprehend the subject without further incident.
Well, coming up, a big decision coming today for Waxhaw neighbors. Why many are pushing back against a plan to build thousands of homes. Our Destiny has a live report in just a few minutes. Well, happening today, town commissioners in Waxhaw will decide whether to greenlight a controversial development project. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live in Waxhaw explaining how tonight's vote could shape Waxhaw's future for decades. Destiny.
Yeah, town commissioners tonight are taking up one of the most controversial issues here, and that is new development. And with already more than 4,700 projects already on the books, neighbors here say it's just too much too fast. Now, town leaders tonight are voting on specifically the views at Olivia. It would be a new community with 307 apartments. Some Waxhaw neighbors are worried this project will put too much pressure on roads, schools, and local services. Others say it goes against the town's plan for how land should be used, takes away space that could be for businesses and jobs, and doesn't have enough parking or infrastructure for the new homes. Developers for another project, South Point, which would bring 134 townhomes and 252 single-family homes to Waxhaw, held a community meeting on September 8th. That project isn't up for a vote yet, but it shows the tension over how quickly the town is growing.
There's no logical reason, any reason for them to be voting any of this stuff in.
And it's unfortunate that developers come first and the residents come last. We're showing up. No one is showing up in favor of these high density developments. No one. And yet they keep voting them through.
Now, the vote on the Views at Olivia project was originally delayed from earlier this month because commissioners had not reached quorum, but is back on the agenda tonight. And I want to go deeper into what exactly is being decided on tonight. It's not just, whether this project will go through or not, but at the last Board of Commissioners meeting on August 26th, there were some recommendations made. Some of those were to bring the number of units down to 302 from 307, to add more commercial space, extend roads, and build trails as well. So they could, take the project as is, they could add those modifications, or they could deny the rezoning petition altogether. We have more information on this in this story on the WCNC Charlotte News app, and the vote is going down tonight at 6:30 here at Waxhaw Town Hall. Live this morning in Waxhaw, I'm Destiny Richards, WCNC Charlotte.
All right, we look forward to those updates after tonight's meeting. Thank you, Destiny.
7:44 right now on WCNC Plus, and looking ahead, a new construction project could slow down your morning commute in Waxhaw as well. Take a look at this map. Officials say construction of the new Prescott Glen Parkway Pine Oak Road roundabout will begin Friday. Pine Oak Road is going to be closed from Route 16 to Waxhaw Marvin Road. Project expected to take about 2 months to finish.
Well, coming up, we're going to continue to look back at the areas impacted by Hurricane Helene nearly 1 year later. Ahead, we're hearing from the folks at the National Weather Service who were instrumental in keeping people safe.
The time is now 7:47. Thanks for streaming live on WCNC Plus. We continue our coverage here live in Western North Carolina. Hurricane Helene was a devastating storm for so many people across Western North Carolina when that storm hit 1 year ago. But there's a group of people who helped keep others safe before, during, and after that storm. The folks at the National Weather Service. WCNC Charlotte's meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees shows us the impact of their work.
Catastrophic flooding and landslides for the mountains and foothills from Hurricane Helene. That line began one of the most serious statements said by a National Weather Service employee that I've ever seen in my career.
I don't ever want to have something like this have to come out of our office again.
Trisha Palmer is the warning coordination meteorologist for the National Weather Service in Greenville-Spartanburg. She told me they had a job to do, their best to keep people safe.
We were saying we plead with you to take these warnings seriously. This is going to be the worst event of the modern era. This person called a family member in the mountains and read it word for word to this family member. And this family member said, okay, I'll leave. And so the family with 3 kids left. These lives were saved because of this message.
The NWS uses many partners in order to send out information, such as local media, amateur radio operators, emergency management officials, and first responders. These connections are imperative when covering big storms. But knowing the devastation about to unfold, Palmer says they were some of the hardest phone calls to make.
Catastrophic doesn't describe what's about to happen to you. And the emergency manager who told me that said that was earth-shattering for him. What's worse than catastrophic?
The team continued to work with local officials throughout the storm. But remember, these are local teams who were also impacted but continued working to help people. All of it impacting their mental health too.
And I'm driving in, and it took me an hour to get into work, navigating around trees. And then there's a tree that falls down that I see fall down, and there's cars with trees on them. And a thought passed through my mind, what am I doing? A tree could fall on my car, and my kids could lose their mom.
Helene is a storm no one will ever forget, including this office. It was a defining moment for many of the forecasters.
The reports coming in, and we're starting to hear about the death toll and the loss of life. At first, it was shocking and numb, thinking, is this really happening? Is this, because you're always wondering, when is the worst going to happen? When is the event going to happen?
Helene was devastating, catastrophic, record-breaking. But if we take one lesson from it, it's important to remember there are people behind the words and people behind the warnings, and we couldn't do it without them. For WCNC Charlotte, I'm meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees.
And we heard Brittany say that it's a storm that people will not forget. But many people here also say that this storm will not define them because there is so much more to Western North Carolina than Helene. So yes, they are working to rebuild their lives and to get back to a sense of normalcy. But they say this will not define them, but it has made them stronger. Of course, we will continue to bring you these stories all week from Western North Carolina. Over the coming days, you're going to see more of the stories from survivors of this storm. We're going to have a check on the progress that's been made, and you can catch that throughout the week right here on WCNC Plus. All right, let's check back in with Chris now to find out more about our forecast, because summer is still lingering, but not for much longer.
Yeah, I know. Still the 90-degree point. It wants to stick around, but luckily for us, we only have 2 days of this. Still 87 for your Thursday. But I want to go back in time. Today is September 23rd, but back in 2024, this was the map that we were looking at in the morning. It was just showing about an 80 to 90% chance that, hey, this could turn into a tropical depression or a tropical storm. Well, later on September 23rd, this did officially become Tropical Depression number 9. And officially on the 24th, it became Tropical Storm Helene. Here's how it all went down. From the 24th to the 27th, that's all that Helene was active. It split the difference between Mexico and Cuba. This is bringing us to right around Wednesday. To Thursday to Friday, that's where everything went down. Now, it's amazingly, it was late day on Thursday that we had landfall in Florida, but it was actually on Friday morning that the heart of Helene was over our North Carolina mountains. And it was the days of rain that came before this that really put everything over the top. There was already some rivers at historic crests or at a major flood stage. And then all the rain that came from this quick moving system put things over the edge on the winds and everything. Just a massive situation, one that almost needs to stack up perfectly in a bad way for it to have the destruction that we just had. Now, I'm hopeful for the rest of my career we're not talking about another event like Helene, but we know how things go. And for the 2025 hurricane season progress report, we're actually behind schedule. Up to this point, September 23rd, on average, we usually have about 10 named storms. Well, we've had 7. And as far as hurricanes, we usually have about 4. We've only had 2. Including Gabrielle. And as far as major hurricanes, well, we're right on par with that. Typically in a given season, we only have about 3. Well, I think that we're going to have our third Umberto before you know it. So here's the name list. We're on Gabrielle right now, still a major hurricane in the North Atlantic, but Umberto is likely going to be forming very soon here as we're about to get a new update from the National Hurricane Center to start off the next half hour. I'm going to have that fully coming up as well as your full forecast. But first, let's get over to Majestic to see how we're ending the 7 o'clock hour.
Let's do it, you guys. Good morning to everyone. If you're just waking up and joining us this morning, we do have a few things to let you know about. We are still seeing pretty quiet conditions across the Carolinas as a whole, but we are seeing a lot of traffic right now starting to build. At 7:54 right now, still seeing a lot of red on our maps, just indicating that there are some typical slowdowns. I want to take you out to areas east of Uptown, McLean Road and Old Concord Road. We've been following this for a while now, still not completely cleared. We're still seeing yellows and oranges, meaning that traffic is moving rather slowly. Here's a picture of the accident. We got this earlier this morning. It was an injury incident in the intersection causing delays in all directions. Again, that is still an active crash at this time. Do want to also let you know on I-77, the accident that I just let you know about not too long ago, it is cleared, but look at that delay. Still a ton of red if you're heading inbound on I-77. Otherwise, I-85, much of the same. No accidents here, but slow moving conditions on those inbound lanes. We're going to take a quick break. We'll see you right back here coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, good morning, everybody. We have one little shower right along the North Carolina and Tennessee border. This is pushing into Ashe County. This is slowly going to fade out. So this is really the only rain chance that we have in the morning. Across the board, and 57 degrees with some increasing clouds over in Boone, 62 for you in Hickory. Gorgeous right now as we overlook Monroe, right around the lower to the mid 60s between Rockingham and the Charlotte area where we have those current temperatures. Our high today, 89. Tomorrow, 90. So we're right around 90 degrees back-to-back days. And then tomorrow is pretty close to that. But I think we increase the clouds for your Thursday, and then eventually that leads to more of a widespread rain chance. Check out where temperatures are going, either side of 80 degrees. This, by the way, is a little bit closer to where we should be for this time of the year, but also in the near term, we're looking at some warmer lows as well, either side of 70 degrees Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning. Majestic?
Let's get to it. Good morning, everyone. We have a handful of accidents. Unfortunately, want to take you out to this one. I've had my eyes on it for a while now. Starting to make some improvements, but do keep this in mind. It's on McClan Road at Old Concord Road. So keep this one in mind because we are seeing those backups. Here's a picture of it that we did get earlier today. It's an injury incident in the intersection, and it is causing delays in all directions. A new one to the north of Uptown now. It's on I-77 southbound at exit 23. That's Gilead Road. One lane is blocked because of it.
Streaming live right now at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. Thanks for staying with us here. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Autumn Bracey. This week, we continue to share stories of recovery nearly 1 year after Hurricane Helene.
Lisa is live in Boone once again this morning with what things look like there a year later.
Ben, good morning to you and to Autumn. The sun is shining on another beautiful day, a Tuesday, the first full day of fall here in Boone. We've been here for a couple of days now, and it is very easy to see the recovery that's happening. You talk to people who are here. I was in a bookstore yesterday. I spoke with a couple who was visiting from Tennessee, and they said they were so happy to be back into this area and to see the work that is being done 1 year after Hurricane Helene. But it's also very clear to see that there is still a lot of work that needs to be done. There are some challenges that remain for sure. Our Richard DeVade is live. He is also in Boone this morning. And Richard, I know you've been taking a look at how Boone is rebuilding.
Yes, absolutely correct, Lisa. Good morning to you. Good morning, Autumn. Good morning, Ben and Charlotte. Good Tuesday morning to everyone watching us on the Plus. Basically, Boone is recovering. You take a look down the street, this looks like any other day here in Boone. This beautiful tourist town that a lot of folks come to, App State, home of App State, where students we've seen walking out, jogging, getting their day started. Last year, this time, it wasn't like this. This street, King Street, was more like a river. Now, that has changed, of course, in a year. It's been a year since Helene devastated Boone. The town still stands resilient, but it has been changed forever. Those floods and landslides that hit last fall destroyed homes, it affected students, it affected roads and key parts of App State University's campus, displaced families, closed many local businesses during what was normally the busiest tourism time of the year. Today, many of Boone's shops and restaurants have reopened. Now, that's thanks to a community effort. However, while downtown businesses welcome visitors again, some areas around Boone still face damage. There are homes and roads that are still being repaired. The emotional tone of this area is evident in Watauga County, and local leaders stress that this fall tourism season, is very important. It's actually vital for this economy, and much of Boone's recovery will depend on continued support. Now, some business owners we spoke to say while the scars of Helene linger, Boone's story a year later is one of perseverance, community spirit, as well as a cautious optimism for the future.
Didn't even want to ride because anytime they were riding, they were seeing devastation everywhere. And so that was rough. We weren't doing rentals. We weren't really fixing bikes. We weren't really selling bikes. But we opened the trails really quick. We're doing our best to get rentals out and get people back on the trail and enjoying their hobbies.
One of the most unique stories was when I heard about the nurses going in on horseback or even using mules to get to people that didn't have help at the time. And so I thought that was a testament to who we are. We are resourceful folks that love on each other.
And that love shows every place you go. We were actually in one community yesterday where we saw that this group had been collecting supplies for people in need. They realized that even though months have passed, they still want to make sure that anyone who is still in need will have something. This community, by the way, will come together this Saturday at 3 o'clock to celebrate Helene 1 year later. We're right here. This is Richard Devane. We'll send it back to you.
Because, Richard, as you know, time doesn't necessarily make the need go away, especially when you're trying to rebuild for those families who've lost everything or are close to everything. So that is why we are here. That is why we are bringing you these stories so that you can see. It's great to celebrate the progress and all that has been done, but it's so important, vitally important, that we don't forget the neighbors here in Western North Carolina who are still in need. All right, let's find out more about our forecast now. Chris is standing by. Chris, I can tell you, still chilly here in Boone, but the sunshine is helping.
Sunshine, or fact that I always tell people that sunshine can make you feel at least 10 degrees warmer. So it's all the difference if you're in direct sunshine or not. During the summertime, it's usually up to 15. But right now, it's absolutely gorgeous wherever you look, seeing a decent amount of sunshine. I do think that we start to trail in more clouds today compared to what we had yesterday. But yesterday still got decently cloudy at times as we had some of those cotton ball-like cumulus starting to develop across the day. Officially just hit 65 degrees. That's right, 65 degrees for the morning, 58 degrees right around Lincolnton, 60 degrees around Statesville, and we've actually gained 2 degrees where Lisa is, right around Boone. And that's the general trend. It's now up to the 8 o'clock hour, usually only warm up about a degree or 2 right after we hit our low, and then things really start to ramp back up. That's exactly what we're going to see. From 9 to 11, we're up 10 degrees, and from 11 to 3, 4 hours later, we're in the upper 80s. And we're going to have a slight heat index today because it's still going to be that humid day today, but then it's really a much more humid scenario a little bit later on in the week. We're going to be feeling it, my friends. And as for the lows, they are not that low. Actually, it's going to be a warmer morning over the next few mornings. It doesn't matter where you are. That's across the board from the mountains to the sandhills. Upper 60s, lower 70s, upper 60s over the next 3 mornings. Even though it says tonight we technically and usually hit our morning low right around sunrise, sometimes up to about 30 to 45 minutes beforehand. 66 on your Saturday. And then looking at that extended forecast, our Jerry Hunt Super Center 7-day forecast, focus in on the front, but then question the back end. So what am I talking about? Well, we're right around 90 degrees over the next couple of days. Pretty close to that on Thursday. I think Charlotte doesn't really start to see rain until later on. I'm talking about Thursday night heading into Friday. That's our best chance, but we're looking at some expanded rain chances heading into your Saturday because we have a lot going on the map. The front that passes us that's going to cool us down will stall to our east right along the shoreline. That's going to keep more clouds and rain chances around. So we could even have more of the upper 70s heading into next week. And there's still a big question mark exactly how the tropics are going to behave. As we saw last year with Helene, it just takes one wave and then before you know it, the forecast changes a few days out. So coming up, I'm going to have the new update that we have from the National Hurricane Center. And also I want to show you exactly the case and scenario that could change the back end of this 7-day forecast. But first, Majestic, what's going on?
Good morning, everyone. I'm doing all right. You know, those area roadways are definitely getting busy. We want to let you know about an accident This is going to take you on I-77 southbound lanes. Being impacted here, it's on Gilead Street. You can see this is the backup right here. This camera is actually moving. It just looks like it's at a still spot right here. Those cars are just definitely starting to back up a lot for that morning commute. So again, I-77, one lane is currently blocked because of a crash southbound at exit 23. Again, that's Gilead Road. So continuing to follow that one for you. Want to let you know about this as well. We have a crash on Independence in Wilshire Place. You can see all of this orange here. That's meaning that cars are moving rather slowly. And then just off to the east of it, not too far from this one, is another incident. It's on Albemarle Road at Pearson Drive. So again, if you're heading inbound towards Uptown, that's where it's really going to get you. I-77 out towards York County. Good morning to you. We did have an earlier accident that has since been cleared, the one at Gold Hill. However, we have this one that we're following carefully for you as well. This time it's on Tryon Street and Moss Road. Those are the updates for now. We'll have another check on those area roadways coming up here shortly. Ben.
Thanks. NCDOT announced that it will be installing a four-way stop near 2 Caldwell County schools this week. They'll install stop signs and painted lines at the intersection of Rocky, Calico, and Gamewell School roads. The intersection is supposed to improve safety and traffic flow near Gamewell Elementary and middle schools. The installation is scheduled to be finished by Thursday if the weather cooperates.
Hopefully it does. Well, coming up, what North Carolina autism experts weigh in on the president's Tylenol warning.
#811 streaming live right now on WCNC Plus. Jimmy Kimmel is going to be back on TV tonight. ABC confirmed the programming change yesterday, less than a week after the late night host was suspended. Kimmel faced backlash over his comments about the man accused of killing conservative youth activist Charlie Kirk. The network pulled the show after the FCC chair threatened to revoke ABC affiliates' licenses. The president celebrated the suspension. So far, he's not responded to the decision to put him back on air. Local news owner Sinclair said yesterday it won't air Kimmel's show tonight. Another news station owner, Nexstar, it hasn't said how it's going to move forward. In a statement, ABC said, "We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached a decision to return the show on Tuesday."
Well, this morning, the Autism Society of North Carolina is reacting to President Trump's announcement on autism. Earlier, President Trump endorsed unproven claims about a link between autism and Tylenol. Trump says his administration is issuing a warning to doctors not to recommend acetaminophen for pregnant women. It is the active ingredient in Tylenol and other widely used medications. Here on WCNC Plus, we spoke with David Laxton from the Autism Society of North Carolina and discussed the announcement and their recommendations.
Recommendations around how much Tylenol you should or should not take, or acetaminophen, I think is what they were trying to say at one point in time today. But then also these other things that they discussed. Again, we've always said, have those conversations, express your concerns, try to get answers, and share good information. And that's ultimately going to be a decision that's up to you. But you want to be informed and you want to be armed with good information whenever you go into those decision-making situations with providers. And we're here to help both the parents and the professionals with that by helping to give them information and training about signs and symptoms of autism if they happen to be a healthcare provider. I think that the main thing is you want to make sure that you're having conversations with your doctor, whether you're an expecting mother or whether you're parents and you have a young child. One of the things that we've always talked with families who reach out to our organization for help, or they have questions about, my child, I'm not sure if the doctor knows enough about autism, then we share information with them that they can pass along to their physician. One of the things that they also talked about today during the press conference was they talked about spacing out some of the shots that kids get. And that's something that has been a question within the autism community for a while too. And we've always looked at it from a standpoint of, if you have questions, you need to talk to your healthcare provider. That's what they go to school for. That's what they're trained for. You want them to know your concerns. You want them to know what is going on with you and with your child, and you want to be able to have a good relationship with them so that you can figure out the best plan of action.
Well, to hear more reaction on the autism announcement, you can watch the entire conversation on WCNC Plus, and you can download the app to hear more long-form conversations on topics just like this. Looking ahead, Vice President J.D. Vance will be making a visit to Concord on Wednesday. It's his first official trip to North Carolina since taking office. The White House says he will be promoting the Trump administration's policies for working Americans. He's also expected to discuss public safety, supporting law enforcement, and President Trump's tax cuts. Now, we are going to have live coverage of that event right here on WCNC Charlotte and on WCNC Plus.
Up next, a vital, important bridge in the western part of the state set to open. We're going to show you how it's going to transform travel around Asheville.
The time is now 8:17 and you are streaming live on WCNC Plus. As we mark 1 year since Hurricane Helene, we are sharing the powerful stories of survival and of recovery. The storm, of course, caused significant damages to the roads here in Western North Carolina, impacting travel for tens of thousands of people who live here. And a new multi-million-dollar bridge on the Blue Ridge Parkway in Buncombe County is just days from opening. Reporter Ray Lorena got a sneak peek as engineers put on the finishing touches.
This is a very exciting milestone for us.
A new bridge spanning 2 football fields now towers about 90 feet above the hustle and bustle of Interstate 26.
The goal is to have traffic in both lanes on this new bridge.
Engineers say the $14.5 million bridge is about 5 years in the making.
Without us putting traffic on the new bridge, we can't tear down the old bridge. Without tearing down the old bridge, with that being there, we can't construct I-26 down below.
The old bridge's supports are in the middle of the interstate and are in the way of widening the road.
We are like the small section left between exit 33 and 37. That's about the only section that's not 4 lanes currently.
Engineers say the new bridge is made of high-strength concrete, should last longer, and be easier to maintain.
All the pieces were constructed in Wilmington and delivered here, and then it was post-tensioned out here on the job. There's 76 pieces out here.
Engineers say it will likely take 4 to 6 weeks to demolish the old bridge.
And they're going to cut it up into pieces and pick up the pieces 1 piece at a time, starting with the deck.
As the widening of I-26 moves into its next stage.
You give us another 6 months to a year, all of the 8 lanes will be open and it will be much more free-flowing. I look forward to it. I'm sure everybody else does.
Ray Lorena with that piece there. Of course, a big part of what drives the economy here in Western North Carolina is tourism. People come to see the beautiful blues, of course, of the mountain. Those views are spectacular, but it's also the shopping, the downtown in Boone and Blowing Rock and a number of the small towns and cities nearby. So I want you to know, Ben, rest assured, your co-anchor here certainly did her part as a tourist visiting for a couple of days to support the small businesses. I shopped small and I shopped off, and I got a book for my son at a wonderful bookstore I found in Blowing Rock. I got some wax melts from a candle shop there, some more candles. I got a bath bomb for my daughter, and I had some delicious meals at a number of local restaurants here. So I did my part to certainly try to help the economy here. But again, in all seriousness, I met some really wonderful people and a great time here in Western North Carolina.
All in the name of research, I'm sure. But to your point, and it's an important point, when you talk to small business owners up there in the mountains, they'll tell you that what they need more than anything, especially right now as we approach fall, is they just need you to be there. They need folks there spending money, staying there, eating out. That's what the folks up in the mountains need more than anything. So be just like Lisa. Go there and spend money and buy a few things. All right, Lisa.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing all about it tomorrow, Lisa.
For sure. I'll share lots with you.
All right, Lisa, we'll check back in with you in just a bit. All right, let's go and get a look at your weather impact forecast with Chris.
All right, here it is, the newest update from the National Hurricane Center. Welcome. We are now heading into a really active zone that we're going to be talking about these 2 waves because what's right outside of that orange blob? The Carolinas. So let's get to the changes. For one, it's now a 90% chance for development. I'm just letting you know, Helene, when it was in red right here, was at a 90%. This thing will become a tropical depression. It will become a tropical storm, and I'm very confident that it at least is going to become at least a Category 2 hurricane. I would not be surprised if we're talking about major Hurricane Umberto coming up here over the next few days. Meanwhile, this secondary wave, it's interacting with some land, some wind shear, so it's going to take a little bit longer to get going, but it will on the back end. Now you have a likely chance that this is going to become at least a tropical depression right around the Bahamas, I would say heading into the weekend. weekend. Meanwhile, we also have Hurricane Gabrielle, major Hurricane Gabrielle, just off towards the north. So we have a lot going on, and these pieces are going to be a big deal as far as our forecast is concerned. So it's these two waves that are going to affect our forecast in the long term. Let's get right to our surface map. So here's what's going to happen to us here locally, and here's how these two waves are going to interact heading forward. So number one, by the time you get to Thursday, I think that we're starting to see clouds increase in Charlotte. You have widespread rain during the day in the mountains, but it's really Thursday night into Friday morning that we have our first real widespread rain chance. So it could be a rough Friday morning commute. However, one thing that's changed is that this cold front will drift its way along the shoreline. An upper level low comes back, amplifying rain yet again heading into your Saturday, and it stalls. It stalls because two other things are starting to move in. So instead of this high pressure system moving in, giving us a beautiful fall weekend, we have to worry about these two culprits. So number one, that's what I was talking about, the area of red. That likely is going to be Hurricane Umberto by about Sunday morning, even earlier being named that goes through rapid intensification. But this is the big question mark right around Bahamas. By the early part of the weekend, I think this could be named Imelda, but it's depending where this goes thereafter, because you have this front that's trying to block from the Carolinas. Meanwhile, you have this hurricane that's sucking a lot of the energy and almost wants to be slingshot this way. But I think what's going to happen, it's going to get stuck with that Bermuda high and turn back out to sea. So that's what I was talking about. Our long range forecast really just all depends on what this does, how far west Umberto is going to trend. So we have so many different scenarios that are going to happen. So we know it's going to be around 90 degrees over the next couple of days. What we don't know is how these behave, which is going to affect the back end of our forecast. So if you have any weekend plans, especially if you're heading east, make sure to stay with us here on WCNC Plus. We'll let you know all the changes. And Majestic's going to let you know right now if we have any changes for our morning commute.
Everyone, let's take a look at the area roadways as you're heading out the door. We'll start with some of those drive times. About 50 minutes if you're coming in from Salisbury, about 35 from Belmont. We have our typical delays still, but also still looking at a handful of ongoing active accidents. This crash here is on Independence Boulevard. This is if you're going to be heading inbound. It's on Independence and Wilshire Place. You can see all of the orange and even the red here, meaning that cars are moving very, very slowly. I don't have any reports of a lane that's blocked or anything like that, but I would suspect that your commute is going to be slowed down as you're heading out the door. In addition to that, another one here on Albemarle Road and Pearson Drive. Those are the two most important things to know. We're going to take a quick break for now.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is 62 degrees with a beautiful sky over here in Monroe, up to 65 around the Charlotte area. Boone, you're up to 58 degrees, a little bit more cloud cover there as there is some nearby rain, but it looks like that rain is going to hold off until the afternoon. Besides you in Ashe County, you are dealing with a little bit of rain. Today is the first full day of autumn. Enjoy it. Expecting those temperatures to jump into the upper 80s, feeling more like the middle part of August. And for your Taco Tuesday evening eats, we are going to have a slight heat index, 80 feeling like 82 by 8 p.m. Keep that in mind, where that mugginess sticking around over the next few days. Then temperatures coming down either side of 80 degrees by Friday into Saturday, but that's also going to be a big uptick in our rain chances as well, cooling down here next week as we have multiple systems surrounding the area. Let's get over to Majestic, see how our morning commute's behaving.
Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful start to the day, isn't it? Plenty of sunshine. Doesn't matter where you're going to be traveling this morning. It looks like this. Slow moving traffic, though. You can see it. That's I-77 right there and 277. You can see some of those drive times not looking the greatest, but that's what you can expect when it's almost 8:30 this morning. Almost 60 minutes if you're coming in from Gastonia. We have our typical delays, but we also have a handful of ongoing and very active crashes. This one here, one lane is blocked because of a crash. It's on I-85 northbound near exit 30 and I-485. You can see right there those delays really starting to build. Stop and go traffic. I'm going to be covering all the other accidents this morning on WCNC Plus. Hope to see you over there soon. Morning to you, and thanks for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Autumn Bracey.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Our special coverage of Hurricane Helene 1 year later continues this morning. Lisa is once again live from Boone. Lisa.
Good morning to you, Ben. Yes, I think I heard Chris say it's about 58 degrees here in Boone now. A little windy, but not bad. It's so interesting being here over the past few days. You drive through the area. In some places, if you did not know that there was a devastating hurricane that hit 1 year ago, there would be no evidence of it. But then you drive to other parts and it's clear to see that there is a lot of recovery that is still happening. People are trying to rebuild. And it wasn't just in North Carolina. Communities in South Carolina are also still rebuilding after Hurricane Helene. That storm claimed 49 lives in South Carolina alone and damaged nearly 5,000 homes across more than 30 counties in South Carolina. Lawmakers sent millions of dollars in federal aid to help with the recovery efforts there. Right now, the state says it still needs more than $1 billion for 1,500 repair projects. Now, back in June, South Carolina's Governor Henry McMaster approved a $276 million budget to support debris cleanup and rebuilding. In Watauga County, back in North Carolina now, the floodwaters of Helene washed away more than homes and businesses. In some areas like Valley Cruces, it took out the roads and the bridges that connect people to their community. Now, with the main access roads washed away, ATVs and tractors have become the lifeline for many people to carry their groceries and to get their supplies through all that mud.
A lot of places here are one way in, one way out. So we've had to get very creative about how we get to certain places.
That was the Emergency Director, Will Holt, who you heard there in Watauga County. He says that there are nearly 600 private roads and bridges that need to be replaced across the county. Construction for a new bridge in Valley Cruces begins later this month, so there is some good news there. Now we want to go over to Buncombe County, where the devastation from Helene was widespread, in fact, putting the Parks and the Recreation's master plan on hold. We know that all of the parks in the county sustained some level of damage. Lake Julian Park, for example, lost about 200 of its trees. 3 of the large docks and some of the smaller boat docks were also damaged. And 1 year later, some fields and parks still remain closed.
We're working really hard to get parks open one by one as they become safe. We're trying to get the small wins while keeping the larger parks that are more devastated, like Owen, at the forefront.
It's really heartbreaking, but it's also kind of encouraging, like, to see a lot of the construction workers out and the resilience of the community.
We should tell you that Highland Brewing is turning the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Helene into a weekend of resilience and remembrance. Starting on Thursday, the Heroes for Helene event is going to honor all of those first responders and the volunteers with music, food, and a lot of family activities. Then all weekend long, Highland will pour a special small batch beer. It's called AVL Strong, with part of the sales going to the Always Asheville Fund. Some live local bands are going to be on stage through Sunday, and the admission is free. Now, we, of course, are going to be here all week live in Western North Carolina, bringing you these stories. Our coverage is going to culminate with a 1-hour special where we're going to share more stories with you of those survivors, and we're going to see more of the progress that has been made here in Western North Carolina over the past year. We'll also show you the work that still needs to be done, because there are some challenges here, and it's easy to see that if you are here in Western North Carolina. You can watch our special Hurricane Helene 1 year later, streaming right here on WCNC+. You can also watch it over on WCNC Charlotte. I'll send it back over to you guys in Charlotte.
All right, Lisa, sounds good. Thank you. Let's go to live pictures right now over uptown there in the distance. You can see that. That's 277 right over I-77. Traffic looks pretty decent, not too bad considering it is I-77 at Uptown. Majestic standing by with the check your traffic in just a moment. But first, Chris has his hands full with your weather impact forecast.
The near term, fine. No rain, no storms. The long term forecast, boy, do we have a lot of variables. I'll get to it all. I'm going to spend a little bit more time the second time I'm up here talking about the weather, but right around half-mile to a mile visibility along I-40 here. So that's been some expanding fog that we've had northwest of Charlotte. Charlotte, you're good. It's gorgeous. You just saw 77 in that shot. And I have 4 other examples showing how picture perfect it is, picturesque. We will see, I think, a little bit of additional cloud cover than what we had yesterday, but you're still dealing with a nice push out of the south, and that's going to allow for a nice warm up. 65 right now. We should be closer to about 70 degrees about 25 minutes from now when that new number pops up. It's usually the end of the hour. Technically about 52, 53 on the hour that we have our updated temperature. But the first full day of fall, yesterday it was at 2:19 p.m. that officially started the autumnal equinox. Well, today is 24 hours of the season, and it doesn't feel like it. It feels like 24 hours of summer. From sunrise to sunset, it's going to be a warm one. We have the upper 80s to around 90 degrees today. We're going to do that again tomorrow. No rain to speak of. And because of additional clouds, I think on and off for the next few days, we are going to be definitely on the warmer side. 68 tonight, either side is 70 for each morning, Thursday and Friday, and a little bit cooler, but still well above normal on Saturday. Our rainfall chances are crazy all over the place. So it's a 3-day span. We're going to keep scattered rain around for the Charlotte area. Now, this is not build an arc type weather for at least the Charlotte area. I think it's going to be constant on and off. That's why we're keeping scattered around. But it's Thursday night to Friday, I think, is our first big chance. And then maybe on Friday night heading into Saturday, we do it again. Now, this could expand where it's more scattered by the end of the weekend, and I'll explain that in a little more detail coming up. But looking at the long-range forecast, look at some of our longer models heading through the weekend. Hickory up to about 2 to 3 inches of rain, but then meanwhile, Charlotte seeing anywhere from about 1 to 2 inches. So there's not a lot of agreement what happens for the long term. We just know that rain is going to be out and about, because here's the reason why. We have a cold front that moves through during this time frame. It is eventually going to cool us down, but what does this front do? It stalls. A low moves in, and then we have 2 big areas of low pressure that likely could be named storms heading our way. This is the end of the weekend. There's a lot to mention, so we're going to put the weather bookmark right here and send it over to Majestic for your morning commute.
It's a busy start to the day with lots still going on all across the area. Let's break down a few things for you. Again, beautiful starts to the day. You can see I-77, I-277. It is beautiful with sunny skies, 65 degrees, nice dry area roadways. And our drive times this morning are really right around where they typically are. 53 minutes coming in from Salisbury and about 30 if you're coming in from Matthews. We have those delays on I-77 and I-85 here, but we also have a handful of ongoing wrecks. This one here, you see that red? That means traffic is at a stop and go right now, and it's because one lane is currently blocked because of a crash. It's on I-85 northbound near exit 30 and I-485. Watch for that as you're heading out for your morning commute. Next up, you can see we have a lot of red right here. This is south of Uptown. We have a crash on Independence Boulevard at Wilshire Place. So really, the stop and go traffic is going to add an additional 5 to 10 minutes for your morning commute. Again, if you're taking Independence inbound, you can also just take Monroe instead. Not seeing any accidents there. As we're heading to the south now out towards York County, good morning to you. I-77, those delays are on. No crashes there, but we do have a crash on Tryon Street in Moss Road. That's where we are watching this, especially those northbound lanes. Autumn.
Right, thank you, Majestic. Well, you'll soon see more security on the light rail. Charlotte City Council voted to expand security across Cats 1 month after the deadly right stabbing of Irina Zarutska. Now, the vote coming just as dozens from around the community gathered to remember her. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard shares how many hope Irina's memory will be the spark for some lasting change.
So all in favor, please raise your hands.
Charlotte City leaders are taking another step to tighten security across the transit system, approving CAT's plan to expand the authority of professional police services. The private company already providing security for CATs can now have the power to enforce laws beyond just buses, trains, and stations. That jurisdiction will now stretch to areas around the city's busiest transit centers along East Trade Street and the popular rail trail.
We should feel safe on public transportation. We shouldn't have to worry about being stabbed to death, being killed.
Amazing grace, how sweet that sound.
While city leaders work to enhance safety inside chambers, outside, candles, prayers, and a community united in grief.
A young lady lost her life that shouldn't have lost her life.
Dozens stood shoulder to shoulder in silence, holding candles against the night air.
Who knows what she could have become?
She could have been my daughter. She could have been your daughter. She could have been my sister. You know, it could have happened to either one of us.
But now I am found.
As they honored Zaruska, they say the real measure of change will be whether riders feel safe again.
And if we can't protect a young girl like that, we can't protect anybody.
I'm going to feel confident when they put enough people on there to protect the people in each car, and from what I'm hearing, they're not doing that.
Tradisha Woodard with that report. A North Carolina bill named Irina's Law is heading to the state house. The Senate approved it yesterday. It would have tougher consequences for crime and create stronger deterrence in hopes of preventing tragedies like Irina's from happening again. The bill would also eliminate certain cashless bail policies, enact stricter bail guidelines, and create more oversight for magistrates. It also removes judicial roadblocks to the state's death penalty.
Well, coming up, Waxhaw neighbors pushing back against a major development project. Destiny will have a live report for us in 2 minutes. Well, happening today, town commissioners in Waxhaw will decide whether to greenlight a controversial development project. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live in Waxhaw, explaining how tonight's vote could shape Waxhaw's future for decades. Destiny.
Good morning. Town commissioners are taking up one of the most controversial issues here, and that is new development. And with more than 4,700 other projects on the books, neighbors here say it's simply too much, too fast. Now, town leaders tonight are considering the Views at Olivia project. It's a new community that would have 307 apartments. Some Waxhaw neighbors are worried this project will put too much pressure on roads, schools, and local services. Others say it goes against the town's plan for how land should be used, takes away space that could be for businesses and jobs, and doesn't have enough parking or infrastructure for the new homes. Developers for another project, South Point, which would bring 134 townhomes and 252 single-family homes to Waxhaw, held a community meeting on September 8th. That project isn't up for a vote yet, but it shows the tension over how quickly the town is growing.
There's no logical reason, any reason for them to be voting any of this stuff in.
And it's unfortunate that developers come first and the residents come last. We're showing up. No one is showing up in favor of these high density developments. No one. And yet they keep voting them through.
The vote on the Views at Olivia project was delayed earlier this month because commissioners hadn't reached quorum, but now it is back on the agenda. They'll decide whether it moves forward tonight at 6:30. I'll send it back to you guys live here from Waxhaw.
All right, Dusty, thanks. Coming up, we go back live to Boone for a closer look at how businesses there are recovering 1 year since Helene.
Welcome back. Okay, a new update. So this is going to be a developing situation that literally probably every hour I can tell you something new about these two waves. But this is how things work this time of the year. You have waves, you have investigations that could be followed by either depressions, tropical storms, and or hurricanes. So what you're looking at right here is Invest 93L and Invest 94L. That's the biggest change that we've seen now over the last hour. So officially, this wave right here that's around the Lesser Antilles, it's going to be battling straddling a lot of land. That's the main reason why it's going to be weaker. It's a blob of thunderstorms, technically a low pressure system with winds at 30 miles per hour. It needs a defined center of rotation. It needs winds to get up to 39 miles per hour before it gets a name. Meanwhile, this one is a lot more organized, starting to define its center. This is most likely to be the first one to form. But what's really interesting about Invest 94L, it's stationary. It's not moving right now. That's a very rare situation. But here are the early spaghetti plots. This is barely anything. It doesn't really tell too much of a tale. But oftentimes, when you first have the investigations, you only have a few models that are going. Once they become a little bit more defined, look at all the lines that are coming from Gabrielle. Well, what's going to happen is this first wave, so 93, is going to turn just west of Bermuda. Actually, very similar path to what we had with Erin. Meanwhile, that secondary wave, it cuts across the Lesser and then the Greater Antilles, moves in the Bahamas, and then a big what if after that. Our models have a huge cone with this, keeping them well down to the south, curving back up to the north. But since these two systems are right next to each other, they are really playing out an interesting complex forecast. Now, I'm not here to scare. I'm just making you aware that we have two developing waves, potentially two named storms that could be popping up here in the Atlantic within the next 4 to 7 days, even earlier than that. Let's get over to Majestic for hopefully a quiet morning commute, but I know it's been pretty busy for you, my friend.
It has. We have a handful of ongoing problems outside. If you are getting ready to head out the door this morning, let's break down a few of them for you. Again, drive time is about 50 minutes coming in from Gastonia, just around 1 hour if you're coming in from Salisbury. We do still have some problems specifically out on Independence. This one here is a crash northbound lanes, Independence at Wilshire Place. In addition to that, just to the north, still on Independence now. Another crash here near exit 244, that's Television Place. So stop and go traffic, I mean almost all the way up Independence to get you into Uptown. Right in Uptown though, we have a new crash. It's on Trade Street and College Street. Be careful of that if you are traveling right in the heart of Uptown. And then another one here on Graham Street at Music Factory Boulevard, seeing some stop and go traffic along with that. If you're going to be traveling from York County, say Forest Lake, good morning to you. You're going to have your typical slowdowns, but we do have this crash here. It's still not cleared. It's on Tryon Street and Moss Road.
Majestic, thanks. The time is now 8:51. Hurricane Helene swept through western North Carolina 1 year ago this week, right before the biggest tourism push for western North Carolina. Now, on the heels of recovering from COVID, many businesses in and around Boone were just beginning to flourish before the rising floodwaters washed them away. Now, as WCNC Charlotte's Colin Mayfield reports, Boone is rebuilding, but locals say there is a long road to recovery.
Our annex building was the one that the waters rose 3.5 feet, somewhere in there. Wow. 3 or 4 feet, and busted open the windows.
Mass General Store has been a cornerstone of the high country for decades. The store withstood the test of time until Helene tested everyone's resolve.
Trying to find out who was safe, and more concerned over my employees and people and which areas were affected.
Mass General Store's Valley Crucis location was damaged, but never beyond repair.
The annex, the entire parking lot was washed out.
Fast forward to a year later, and you'd all but miss the watermarks on the doorframe, indicating this store, this company, this community has been there before and comes back stronger. But the hard truth remains in western North Carolina, there's much more work to be done.
Our small business owners have been among the most resourceful, but they're also worn out.
Boone Area Chamber of Commerce President David Jackson says many Boone businesses have been relying strictly on philanthropic support, but he worries about the economic solvency of the area.
A lot of tax revenue was compromised during that time throughout western North Carolina, and our region is so dependent on the community next door. One of the best things that we had happen to us immediately after the storm was the deployment of SBA and FEMA personnel to this area and setting up disaster resource centers and business recovery centers throughout western North Carolina. Those were people that folks could talk to.
He says once those people leave the area, western North Carolina has at times felt alone in this long endeavor back to normal.
That they feel like they've been out of options, and throwing their hands up from a governmental standpoint doesn't help, the Main Street recover.
Jackson hopes some hard conversations will happen to prepare not just Western North Carolina, but other regions for this type of disaster should it happen again.
Statewide, why is it that we do not have a defined support system for small business across North Carolina in any region that experiences anything? The operating elements of the government are so far detached from the reality of how things actually get deployed.
As many wonder what's next, one thing seems clear: they're moving forward together.
I think we'll all kind of breathe a sigh of relief once we can go. We've survived a year after what we all went through. Yeah. Little PTSD on it.
And we're going to be there when you need us. And that's because people were here for us.
Colin Mayfield with that report, and Ben and Autumn, we can't highlight enough the need for the support for the small businesses here. As you heard them mention, this tourism is their driving industry. It's what they need to stay afloat, especially the many small businesses in the area. And I can tell you that it has been great over the past 2 days to see a number of tourists coming back to the area. Again, you can see the progress that's being made, but it's very helpful when you see the community work together and you see people coming to Western North Carolina to enjoy the area and to shop local. We'll send it back to you guys.
Especially right now, the fall. Fall is the biggest season, of course, up there in the mountains.
The best time to visit.
And it's a quick weekend trip. I mean, it takes about 2 hours to get to where Lisa is from Charlotte. So,
and tomorrow we'll be seeing you there.
I will be up there. We're going to change out. We'll cross paths probably around 321 between Gastonia and Hickory at some point. All right, Lisa, thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right, live pictures right now inside our Live Impact studio here at WCNC Charlotte. Keep it right here. Jamie Monroe is taking over at the top of the hour right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good morning, everybody. Here's what you need to know from a Jerry Hunt Super Center 7-day forecast. Right around 90 degrees for today and tomorrow, and then heading into Thursday, we up our rain chances. Rain chances officially really take over Thursday night heading into Friday, and then through the weekend, on and off rain. Rain likely again on Saturday, but a lot could change in the back end of the forecast. Our morning commutes also changed. Majestic has an update on, check out this image.
Yeah, I want to show you this. This is I-85 at mile marker 55. Still not exactly sure what's going on, but as you can see, it's completely stopped at this point. Emergency responders are there on scene. Again, this is I-85 just past Concord. We're going to continue to keep you up to date with that, giving you those notifications on the WCNC app, but that is the biggest thing that's ongoing right now as we're looking at I-85 there. Otherwise, we do have still our typical delays on 85 and 77. Take it easy as you're heading out the door and preparing for your day.